Hello, fantabulous souls. Welcome to Psychically Speaking. I'm your host, Psychic Lisa Ann. I'm a little bit peace, love, and light with a touch of sass and sarcasm. Thanks for joining me. Let's jump right in. Today, we're going to talk about 3 spiritual misconceptions. When I started on a spiritual path, I remember there were certain things that I learned right out of the gate. The first one was that everything happens for a reason, right? I think that was literally the first thing I learned. Unfortunately, nobody told me the other half of that sentence. So I spent the next year of my life thinking about everything bad that happened to me and spending hour upon hour upon hour trying to figure out why those things happened. In hindsight, I wish someone would have finished the rest of that sentence, which should be everything happens for a reason, but you might not always know what that reason is in this lifetime. That would have been so much more empowering and it would have saved me so much time. So, yes, I do believe everything happens for a reason. However, I don't think we always find the reason why specific things happen. And I think the key when you're on a spiritual path is to have that understanding, whether it's good things happening or bad things happening, to trust your intuition that there is a reason why this is happening without spending the rest of your life trying to find the answer to why that is happening. Instead, to keep yourself in that forward motion, because I really think that is the key to happiness, is to always be moving forward and not allow yourself to get sidetracked or allow yourself to get stuck on one thing. So again, yes, everything happens for a reason, but sometimes we may not understand what that reason is in this lifetime. The second misconception I had when I started on my own spiritual journey was I was told to live without a plan. And once again, unfortunately, nobody finished the rest of that explanation. So I am a huge one when it comes to the living without a plan, right? People would say to me, "Where do you see yourself in 3 years, 5 years?" I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow, let alone 3 years from or 5 years from now. But what I learned as I got further in my spiritual journey is there's a big difference between living without a plan and living without goals. So to me, living without a plan just means that I don't have every moment of my life planned out and I don't have it all what I like to call bullet pointed, right? So at this age, I'm, going to be married, or at this age, I'm going to do this, or at this age, I'm going to do that. It's more being open, taking a step back and thinking about what makes you happy. What are your goals? What is the direction that you want to go in? And then allowing room for those things to unfold. Because sometimes the way that things manifest are not always the identical way that we envision them. But the irony is, they always manifest the exact way that is best for us. So sometimes when you have too much of a plan, you're actually limiting yourself and you're stopping that flow of energy that helps to manifest and create the thing that is ideal for you. So, yes, it's great. It's empowering to live without a plan, but that doesn't mean that you don't have goals. I always have something that I'm working on. And I will share with you that before I even reach that goal, as I'm coming down to the final stretch, I already have my next goal in mind. I already have my next focus. And I do that in my personal life, I do that in my professional life. So don't misconstrue living without a plan to not having goals. Number 3 is a huge one. boy, this is one I can do a whole podcast on, and I promise you I will moving forward. But again, one of the misconceptions that I had when I started on my own spiritual journey, I was told that I was an empath. And it's very interesting to me because in the last, I would say, 2 years, I constantly hear people using that word empath. I'm an empath. I was told I'm an empath. I've even had people say to me, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this term, but I'm actually an empath. Yes, I'm familiar with the term. I've been in the field for 27 years. And it's funny because people act like this is a new thing. It's new terminology. I hate to like burst people's bubble, but empaths have been around since the beginning of time. So, as much as I would like to think I discovered empaths as well, we haven't. They've been around. But one of the biggest misconceptions is that if you are an empath, that is the reason why you are overwhelmed with emotion. A lot of times people will say to me, "Oh, I'm an empath, and that's why I struggle with energy, or that's why I find myself so depressed all the time." That is not being an empath, okay? Too many people use the word empath as a negative thing. They use the word empath as an excuse for why they feel overwhelmed or why they're in a negative space. And I like to think of an empath in a completely different way. I think empaths are beautiful, amazing souls. They're people that are very deep feeling. They're very in tune with not only their own energy, but the energy of others. And the word empath should never be used as an excuse for getting overwhelmed with energy. If you're overwhelmed with energy and you have found yourself locked in your house for weeks at a time because you're an empath and you're overwhelmed, that's not being an empath. That's not understanding how to use energy. So that was probably one of the biggest misconceptions that I really had to learn to work with. To understand that being an empath is actually a wonderful thing, not a negative thing. That being an empath does mean that you are more, and I hate this word, sensitive to the things around you. As an empath, you can walk into a room and know who's upset or who's angry or who's happy. But being an empath, that's not the reason why you're absorbing all that energy and not able to get rid of it. You're not able to get rid of it because you're not understanding how to use the energy or how to disconnect from the energy. So I really want you to start thinking about the word empath in a new way. I want you to start thinking of it as a wonderful thing, as a wonderful ability that you have to really connect with the people around you. So as you go about your week this week, I want you to think about the three spiritual misconceptions. And I want you to give yourself permission. The next time something happens, I want you to remember that, yes, everything happens for a reason. And I want you to give yourself permission to not need to explore what that reason is, but just to use your intuition to accept that everything happens for a reason and move on to the next thing. I want you to give yourself permission to live without a plan, to not have to have every little move planned ahead of time. But yet, I want you to set some goals for yourself. I want you to set an immediate goal, something that you would like to do within a month, something that you would like to do or experience within the next year, and give yourself a direction to go in. And most importantly, if you are an empath, I want you to take a step back and I want you to use the word empath to describe yourself in a positive way. And for those of you who do feel overwhelmed by energy, I want you to start practicing disconnecting from energy. So before you go to bed at night, and this is a great exercise, even if you're like, I don't really think I'm an empath. Before you go to bed at night, I want you to just take a few moments to take some nice, deep cleansing breaths in and out. And I want you to imagine little threads, little cords that go from your body just out into the world. And I want you to imagine yourself taking a vacuum or a scissor, and I want you to imagine yourself cutting all of those cords. Each one of those cords represents an energetic connection. Maybe you were online at the store and somebody was in a really bad mood, and now you created an energy connection to them. Or maybe you were watching a movie and there was something sad, and now you have an energetic connection to that person that you were watching in that movie. We have these energetic cords that connect throughout our day. So it's very important that at the end of the day, especially before we go into our sleep time, that we take a moment to just disconnect all these cords, just disconnect all of that energy and allow ourselves to go into our sleep time, which is when we really re energize our body, mind, and spirit. So we allow ourselves to go into our sleep time without all of that negative energy connection. Thanks again for joining me. And remember, life isn't always rainbows and butterflies, so make the choice to be fantabulous each and every day.